Confidence is a bit of a paradox because if you want to make monumental, huge shifts in your confidence, you actually have to do very, very small things. You might think that you need to have like an outward glow up, like absolutely change the way you look. You need to look smacks. You need to like improve your skin, improve your hair, grow taller, lose weight. You think you need to make these massive shifts on the external, but I promise you actually just have to make really small changes on the internal. Hey, if you're new, I'm Christina and I make videos for people who are feeling lonely. If you're a people pleaser, overachiever, over anything, you're in the right place. In this video, I've organized the 7 habits so that it starts off pretty superficial and gets a little bit deeper as the video goes on. I've left the ones until the end to be the habits that will probably have the biggest impact on your confidence. Starting off with, one very small thing you can do, you can actually do this now, is to start a confidence journal. There are 1,000,001 different names for this. I'm going to call it a confidence journal, but I have heard it being referred to as like a cookie jar, where essentially what you're going to do is you're going to write down a list of things on your phone, on a piece of paper, anywhere you want, of different moments, experiences, events where you did something that massively boosts your confidence. For example, for me, when I did this recently, a lot of what was on my list was like just moments where I made a really tough decision. Like I said no to someone that I was used to being like walked all over by this person, and I finally put my foot down. That was like near the top of the list. Another thing was like putting myself first, like on weekends or in busy periods of my life when I would normally just like get swamped with work and I'd struggle to say no to like taking on more work. Some moments where I look back and I'm just so proud of myself is when I've put myself first and I've said like, Christina, you matter more than meeting this deadline. You matter more than making a good impression to this person that you low-key don't even care about. Like put yourself first for once and actually say no. Another thing that was on the list was like investing in myself, like actually going to therapy and actually working with like a coach. You've done amazing with the books and the podcast and the free stuff. Actually pay someone to like help you learn and see your weak points, because sometimes we're blind to our blind spots. Honestly, it can be a big win. It can be a small win. It can literally be like getting a certain job, or it can be like just a small moment no one would even know about, but only you know. Confidence is not as big and theatrical as you think. It can actually be like really, really small thing. The impact of this is huge because you probably have so many moments that if all held together in one place, you would actually be in awe of yourself. Like I think sometimes people convince themselves that like, oh, I'm not actually that impressive. I don't really do that much, or it's not really that big of a deal. But it's because you see it like spread out in your mind. It's all scattered all over the place. You don't actually recognize how much you've done and how much you've achieved. Another micro habit is to speak at a slower pace. I was at a welcome dinner the other day to kind of welcome new people at this new job that I've started. We've all started this new job together, and a couple of people I spoke to were speaking really, really quickly. And it wasn't like I know I talk really quickly. Like I've seen a bunch of your comments telling me that I talk really fast, but like there's like talking quickly because you just naturally talk quickly. And then there's like, oh, she's anxious. They've not said they're nervous and they've not said they're anxious, but just from the way that they are talking, I'm like, from one anxiety queen to another anxiety queen, like I can spot the nervousness from a mile away. Speaking at a slower pace doesn't mean going from 0 to 100. It doesn't mean going from like your current talking rate to like talking like a turtle and like slowing down so much to the point it's like patronizing. Like honestly, just get used to the habit of like taking a pause before you talk. And I don't mean in a dramatic way. Like you're not pausing before you talk to the point where people will notice. It's just a quick second for yourself, just to like put yourself in a more comfortable position. Like sometimes I think people talk with like urgency and like they have to hurry to get the words out, and like it's almost like they're on like, I don't know, a deadline internally. They're just in such a rush to either get the spotlight off of them. But get into the habit of speaking slightly slower, like just like feel yourself like thinking a few things, then talking, then thinking a few things, then talking. Like just slow yourself down to the point where you're not talking faster than you can think. Because I used to do this as well, and that would actually make me trip up my words even more. I used to be really self-conscious about the fact that like I'd like mess up my words sometimes, and you probably can't tell in videos because I edit out to this day. Like there's probably moments right now when I'm filming this where I'm going to mess up my words because I'm speaking too quickly, and it's because like I'm speaking quicker than I can think. It's less so for the other people in the room and trying to impress them and trying to come across as cool to them. It's more so for you. Like I feel more comfortable when I slow down and when I like take my time a little bit more. But sometimes I think when you are new to like taking up space and having the spotlight on you. When you are new to that, you're not comfortable with the fact that like people will allow you to talk. You're so used to thinking like people don't want to hear you or people don't want to listen to you. You're the boring one. Like you've got that story built up so much that you can't even comprehend the fact that like people want you to slow down a bit. People don't want you to be anxious. People want to hear you talk. And funnily enough, people will actually enjoy you talking more if you are actually speaking slightly slower. Start committing to your decisions. One of my pet peeves that is kind of like a hypocritical pet peeve, because I used to do this, is people that flip-flop on their decisions. I used to be the sort of person, and it annoys me now, but I know I used to do it, where like I'd say, oh, let's go here. Oh, but they don't close late enough. Like, let's go here instead. Oh, but they're really expensive. Let's go here. Oh, wait, let's actually go back to that place because they do open late. Don't worry, let's go there. Oh, no, but it's an hour away. Okay, let's go back to that other place. Like, even if it's not simple things like choosing where you want to eat, but even just like your own personal decisions on like what you're going to say to your friend or what you're going to say to that person you're talking to on the dating app, like changing your message and changing like that is one of those small things that is slowly going to erode your confidence in the background. Confident people commit to their decisions. I feel like with your decision making, sometimes when you are maybe more insecure, you have this idea that like there is a right decision to make. And it sounds simple. Like obviously, Christina, there's a right decision to make. Obviously, there's a right place to go and eat. Obviously, there's a right thing to say in the text. Obviously, but actually, no, there isn't. If you're choosing somewhere to eat, you want to choose a place that's reasonably priced, reasonably located, everyone's dietary requirements going to be met. There's always going to be someone that's not quite happy with it. Someone's not really going to have the money, and even though it is cheap, it's not going to be cheap enough. Even if you are crafting the perfect message to send to that guy that you no longer want to talk to and you want to let him down, no matter how much time you spend crafting that message and going back and forth, do I say this, do I say that? Like, I don't want to be too harsh. No matter what you do, depending on the person, they'll always find something wrong with it. I feel like if you are someone like me that used to flip-flop and go back and forth and just worry and change your mind constantly, you're trying to outsource your confidence to the decision. Like you're saying like, I'll feel confident once I have the answer, once I've made the decision. Confidence is something that you have to have now. You have to just make a decision and commit to it. I feel like as I've grown in my confidence, I've come to learn that the reason why I'm not fussed nowadays about doing the right thing and saying the right thing and messages and stuff is because I know that even if something doesn't go as planned, life will always teach me in every single moment like why that thing didn't go to plan. Like there's always something to learn, and I don't see it as like I'm being ridiculed for getting something wrong. Like getting something wrong isn't a punishment, and it's not saying that I'm a bad person. I see more getting things wrong now as like I just have more to learn. To some extent, I think maybe when you are a flip-flopper and you change your mind constantly, you are a little bit like sort of closed-minded, purely just because you're not as open. Like you're not okay with like committing to something, getting it wrong, and just being open to learn. Make time for you every day. Nothing knocks your confidence more than living a busy, fast-paced, occupied, frantic life where you just have no time for you. I used to be the sort of person that looked very busy, and people would tell me like, Christina, you work so hard, like you're always working, you're always doing something, you're always so busy, but I was never doing anything for myself. This is a really important habit that I want to emphasize, because you can be the busy person that's being really productive, maybe making a lot of money, being very successful, doing a lot, but you aren't even a priority in your own life. The reason why this relates to confidence and just making time for yourself every day is because living your life where you aren't even the priority erodes your confidence. If you're telling me I have to wake up, drive an hour to my workplace, do a bunch of stuff I don't want to do, make a bunch of PowerPoint slides I don't even care about, go to the after work drinks and mingle and pretend like I get along with these people, I have to hang out with a partner, girlfriend, boyfriend person that I don't fully like, but I feel like I have to put up with them because we share the rent and the rent is cheaper. Where have you made the space to feel good about yourself? Like where is there a moment in your day where you just purely did something for you just to remind yourself that like, I actually have agency over my life. I still have control. I'm a busy person. I have a lot to do. I'm quite overwhelmed, but I still have control. I'm still the number one. I am still the one that's in the powerful position. I still have power. I'm not on the back foot. When I was a very busy medical student and I was doing obviously medicine, and I was also doing content creation, and I was also working at a startup, and I felt like I had a lot to juggle. I was spinning a bunch of plates, even though I had a bunch of things that I was literally like working so hard for like my whole life, and I really wanted each of these things. I didn't feel even happy or confident because I just felt like I wasn't the important thing in my life. Everything else was more important than I was. Watching 30 minutes of like a TV show would make me feel guilty because everything else, medicine, content, posting a TikTok every single day, and doing the startup jobs I had to do, it felt like they were all more important than I am. That's why this habit of making time for you every day, that is different to everyone. It could literally be sort of like meditation if that's your jam. It could be watching a TV show, even half an episode if you're that busy. It could be calling a friend, speaking to a friend in person, just scrolling on, actually no, not scrolling on TikTok, because that's not making you a priority, that's making your phone a priority. It could be cooking a meal that you really want to cook. You've had this recipe on your list for like ages. It could literally be anything. It actually doesn't matter as long as you were the priority. This boosts your confidence because you still feel like you have control. I felt like I was being pushed and pulled and dragged through life at times when I had all these things I had to juggle. I just felt like I was like an object and I wasn't even a person. Like I had no control over things. So that's why it doesn't sound like a big one, like just make time for yourself every day. But if you are the sort of person that feels very like hopeless and just aimless with your schedule, making that tough decision to move things out of your calendar, move things off of your to-do list. Okay, yeah, I kind of do need to do that by the weekend, but like I am more important. Like that skill of saying no to things and saying yes to yourself, saying no to everyone else, but yes to yourself, that is the skill that will build your confidence, not the skill of getting everything in your to-do list done. Because trust me, as a girl who's probably had thousands of to-do lists over the days and years of my life, never do I think back, Christina, I'm so proud of you because you did that to-do list that day. Like that busy day that you had, I'm so proud of you because you ticked all the things. Like, no, I feel so proud of myself when I've said no to all those things. That is what I look back and feel proud of. Like when I say no to everyone else and I say yes to myself. The next habit can probably help with this, and this is make no your default answer. For a lot of people pleasers out there, I know there's a lot of people pleasers that watch these videos. Yes is probably your default answer. Can you cover my shift this weekend? Like something's come up last minute. I know the weekend's tomorrow. It's literally, technically 8 hours away, but can you cover my shift? Like, oh yes, I can. Yes, I'll do it. I definitely had plans and things to do this weekend, but I'll cover your shift this weekend. No worries. I think when you're a people pleaser, your default, it doesn't even matter if someone's asked you for a favor. Actually, like even if you're just in a conversation and like meeting new people, mingling over drinks, like your default is to like make people happy. And like if someone drops something, you're just rushing to pick it up for them. Or if someone's behind you and like you've walked through a door, you just naturally open it for them. Like it doesn't even matter what you're doing. I think as a people pleaser, your default is make everyone else happy. This is a problem because sometimes, there's being a kind person, opening doors, like I said, picking up things off the floor for people, but like then there's like sacrificing yourself in the process and like neglecting yourself. As a people pleaser, one of the best things that I did, and I'm actually planning a video on this, is to start like disappointing people. I know it sounds crazy, but like making no my default answer and like being okay with like, Christina, disappoint someone today, like just for yourself. For the sake of your self-esteem, for the sake of your confidence, for the sake of how overwhelmed you feel, disappoint someone. Say no. I don't care who it is today. Someone's going to ask you for a favor. Someone's going to ask you to do something. Disappoint someone for the love of God. That is one of the best skills you can probably adopt as a people pleaser, because that is how you bridge the gap of living life for everyone else and finally living life for yourself. You might be like, Christina, why do I have to make no my default answer? Why can't I just say yes when I want to and say no when I want to? You can do that, but like I mentioned earlier, decision fatigue is a very real thing. And if you're already a very busy and preoccupied person, make things easier for yourself. Just default to no. Like when I say default to no, what I mean is like, if someone asks you for a favor, just think no. Before they've even told you the question, before they even asked you for the thing, like you're thinking, no. You're going to say no. That way you're kind of like, you're primed for it the whole time as they're asking you. You're kind of like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to disappoint you. The theme this week is to disappoint people. I'm going to disappoint a few people this week. That way, by the time they've said it, you're kind of like, you're so primed and you're ready. Like you're okay. It's not like a huge monumental decision. Like you're not deciding because like I said earlier, commit to your decisions. And chances are your biggest fear as you do this, because this is what I struggled with when I first started doing this as well. Your biggest fear is like upsetting them and disappointing them. You worry about letting them down, but the thing that you learn when you kind of make, you give yourself the theme next week, for example, to disappoint a few people, the thing that you'll quickly learn is that disappointing people and upsetting people is just a part of life. Another habit is to spend less time predicting and more time preparing. As an overthinker, you have a Nobel Prize in being able to predict, plan, strategize, think about, and plan for normally the worst case scenario. You aren't just going to go up to someone and say hi. You're going to plan what you're going to say. You're going to plan their response and you're going to plan your response to their response. You're going to plan how you're going to say bye. You're going to plan how you're going to wave and walk away. And you're going to plan what to do if they kind of give you a dirty look, like, why is she even coming over to me? You predict and plan so much. I learned this thing from a guy called Morgan Housel about how it's way better to actually just be prepared than spend time trying to predict. How I interpret preparing over predicting in sort of friendship dynamics, relationship dynamics, just general social interaction, is that it's much better to kind of like prepare yourself in terms of build up your confidence, believe in yourself, trust yourself, and like commit to your decisions, own who you are, feel confident internally, then like try to predict every single interaction in your day and plan out how they're all going to go and plan how you're going to react and talk and say and respond. Because even as I'm just saying that, thinking about it, that is just so exhausting. The best thing that you can do for social interactions isn't actually predict what the person will say and plan out your answer. It's just prepare yourself in the sense of like, you feel good about yourself first. People will feel confident about you if you're confident about yourself. If you do struggle, to be fair, in like conversations, definitely watch my video, You're Not Boring, You Just Like Conversational Skills. Because in that video, I go into like a deep dive into like, specifically in conversations, like what holds us back from feeling like we can be ourselves. You will feel way better about yourself if you do little things where you just kind of like feel more confident. One of the hardest things for a lot of people that are sort of like very anxious people pleasers, all the things that I've struggled with in the past, I think you just struggle so much being seen and having like attention on you. So when in this video, I might have to put this at the start. When I say like confident and be more confident, it's just like, what I mean by that is just learning that being seen can be a very comfortable and normal thing. Be realistic now and ambitious later. When it comes to the topic of being confident in yourself, owning who you are, being really comfortable being seen and being seen as like your authentic self and not feeling like you have to pretend to be liked by people. Be realistic with what you can achieve in a day so that you can be ambitious with what you can achieve in a year. Your goals don't actually happen in a year, they actually happen now in a way. Like the things that you do every day really are building the blocks and putting the blocks together of what your life will look like in a year. Focus insane amounts on your daily routine. Focus on who you're speaking to, how you're speaking to yourself, what you're spending your time doing, what you're working on, the projects you're working on, how you're talking to yourself. Focus like if you want to transform your life, you should actually just focus on what you're doing day to day. If you have crazy ambitious goals, it doesn't always mean adding as well. This is a really big one. When you think about your morning routine or evening routine, don't obsess over what can I add. Think also about what you can take away. Because for a lot of people that are anxious and frantic and like people pleasers, you probably do a lot already. What could you take away? How much of your screen time could be cut down? How much of you talking to that girl that secretly makes you feel terrible about yourself, but you don't know how to like not be her friend? How much of that could be cut away? How much of that toxic friendship group that you always hang around, but you don't know how to like take a step back? How much of that could be cut away? Most goals are just achieved by doing the same things over and over. The goal isn't actually achieved in like a year. It's you did it every day. And that slowly built it. That slowly built the goal that you wanted. I'm a big believer, like there's actually, you can achieve anything. There's nothing that's off limits to you. And I've seen it in my own life so many times. It's scary. And so I know it to be true that Christina, anything you want, you can have. And I do believe that for myself. I believe it for you guys as well. I believe it for anyone. But like, don't obsess over the ambition. Don't think that like, because I want this goal of having like an amazing business and having a Lamborghini, like just because you can think of it doesn't mean that you're actually on your way to getting it. The goal will look after itself if you look after what you're doing every day. I think for your goals, work backwards and think, okay, who's the sort of person that has a business and a Lamborghini? Or who's the sort of person that has, I don't know, a thriving YouTube channel? Like who's the sort of person that has an amazing career that they actually love? They love going to work. They love who they work with. They love what they do. Who's the sort of person that does that? What do they do in a week? What do they do in a day? What are they doing in the morning? Like work backwards from there and be realistic with it. Because if you're realistic with what you can achieve in a day, you'll actually do it. And if you actually do it in a day, you'll actually achieve it in a year.